What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Cocktail Therapy. I'm your girl, Vixia's Faith, and I got a very special guest on today, Mr. Jordan Oliver. And Jordan, I'm gonna let you tell them what it is that you do, and kind of give your background before we jump into this conversation.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, thank you for this opportunity to be on with you. It's always a pleasure seeing you interview and have conversations with so many different people and personalities. It's been very good to see. So continue doing what you do. But yeah, my name's Jordan Oliver. I am a coach. I started out in the financial sector doing a lot of financial literacy,
Mm-hmm.
and then it developed where I realize I'm a teacher at heart. I'm a coach at heart. And so I have now evolved where I will still do some financial literacy, but I also a life coach, entrepreneur coach, and a business coach. So those things are very important to me. And most importantly, I love really delving into relationships. And so I even
Okay.
add that to my repertoire. So looking forward to having this conversation. Born and raised here in Memphis, Tennessee, so
Okay.
it's one of those things where you being from Memphis is always like we striving for more. So
Yeah.
I'm the individual who has that same thing. I just want to strive for more, and anytime I can get on with someone like yourself, and we can just talk some good things, whether it's finance, it's business, whether it's relationships, being able to just have good conversation to help the mass be better. I'm
Yeah.
always for it. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much. Well, we are going to jump right into it. So, first of all, for all intents and purposes, I normally don't share what time of day it is that I am recording this, but it is too early for me to drink. I might get a mimosa a little later on in the episode, or maybe later on in the day, but I have not even eaten anything, so I do not have a cocktail to feature right now.
Okay.
But I will be featuring something. So hopefully, if I can talk my oldest into making his mama a mimosa, he is of age, FYI. So if I can talk him to making me a good little mimosa real quick, I may feature that. Uh, we're gonna jump right into it though, Jordan. So the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you is because you do have a background in finance,
Hmm.
and a lot of times when we are looking for mates or waiting on our mates to find us, however you whatever dynamic you have with that,
Right.
um a lot of people don't understand how important it is if you are going to do life with someone, how important it is to have your finances in order.
Yeah.
And a lot of us date and we don't have that in order. And I'm not saying everything has to be 100% perfect, but um if we are together, right? And you know, we decide we end up eventually getting into a serious relationship, I think certain conversations we don't have before we walk down the aisle, you
Correct.
know.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have those conversations, and then later on down the line they're in divorce court because we didn't find out what the financial style of the other person that we are in relationship with had prior to actually getting married. And so for me, and everybody's relationship doesn't end in marriage. A lot of people they're just together and they've been together for many years and they don't. But it's still a very important conversation to have, because if we can't keep the lights on at the house, that's a big deal for me.
Right.
Um, and so first of all, I'm gonna start off by asking you, how important is it to have your finances in order even when you start to date?
I mean, it's a good question, and I think what's even more important. So, my background, I started helping people with credit repair. So, like,
Okay.
how I really got involved with this is like my credit wasn't even all that great. It wasn't terrible, I guess if you can say, but I guess we all say we ain't terrible until we see
Yeah.
it. But that's how I got started in this financial literacy realm, because it was like I started to realize we didn't grow up with talks about money and finances. And so one of the things that I like, one of my sayings is financial literacy isn't a luxury, it's a necessity,
Right.
because we're not taught these things in school. And then our parents only, they tell us as much as they know. And a lot of them didn't go to school for finance, and they're only going by trial and error. So when you become in that of age and you're dating, you got to realize you got trial and error mindset with money. You know, you have
Yeah.
really haven't delved into money and understand the psychology of money, the thoughts about money, the language of money, and how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
And because I believe we deal with money on a day-to-day basis, we take for granted money. We take for granted what money is all about, you know, because we think we're smart enough. I know how to add, I know how to subtract, I know how to multiply and divide. Oh, I know how to deal with money. But money really is a behavioral issue. It's about your relationship with it and how you're. So, like, one of the first things I do when I'm coaching someone on finance is I ask, "What is your relationship with money? Like, how were you first introduced to money in your household? Where you grow? Did you grow up in a household where money is the root of all evil? Did you grow up in a house where money don't grow on trees? Did you constantly hear stuff like that? Because that gives a negative connotation to your relationship with money, and you'll continue to develop that part of it even when you go into relationships. And so, as you said, I think it's very important to have or know or have yourself in order. And in order, I would say, is relative, because you're always going to have to get better at money.
Yeah.
You know, how you treat or handle $100 is going to be different how you treat 1,000, and then 10,000 to 10,000, and 10,000 to 100,000, and hopefully you become a millionaire. It's like you have to change the way you're thinking each time. So it's relative, but it's important to at least have yourself in order. I mean, so I would love to hear what you have to say.
Well, I think it's key. Like I said before, we don't have conversations about this in relationships. We just don't. I think me growing up, I grew up a little differently than probably the average Black kid. Now, we didn't talk about credit per se,
right?
Because I don't know that my mom understood the full concept of credit. You know, right now I have a credit coach. Because I'm looking at doing some other things in business. So I know in certain instances, my personal credit got to be on point. And I've hit a few snags because, of course, life happens as well. Right. So I personally have hit a few snags and kind of how I'm navigating some things and having to rearrange. And I'm a single parent. So I've always been, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And I tease people about this. A lot of people say I'm a Jamaican, so I have all these jobs. I got this, that, and the third. I got my main job. I'm hustling over here. I'm doing this over there. It's a lot. So whatever I need to do to make up whatever shortfall that I have to make up, I do. I just do. I don't rely on anybody else. I just do it myself.
Right.
But my mom did teach me about like paying bills. So that was something that was really, really my mom and my dad, but more so my mom, because what I noticed about their relationship when they were married was my mom was the stickler for making sure like the bills were taken care of, right? And the other part of that is it's not always going to be, you're not always going to be the person that is the more financially astute person, right? A lot of times I see where the wife takes care of all of the finances and the bills and stuff, and the husband, you know, she might have a conversation with the husband. Well, husband, I did this, I took care of that, I did that. But for the most part, the husband entrusts her to kind of run that part of it. And then I've seen a lot of the older couples that I'm in insurance. That's my day job is insurance and financial services. So I see a lot of widows whose husbands took care of everything. They didn't have to worry about a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Husband took care of the mortgage, they took care of the car notes, they took care of the insurance, everything. She just knew that her husband had it, right? to pay, and that the lights was on. And if I need to get some grocery money to go to the grocery store, or some of them, they use their money. One of my coworkers, she's a retired teacher. Her husband took care of everything. Her husband, I think, was an insurance agent. He took care of everything. And she didn't have to worry about anything. But when he died, she had learned some stuff, and she was still learning. Like even when she came to our office, because she left the insurance company that he was working for and came over to our insurance company, we had to kind of educate her on some things as it relates to insurance, because she had no clue. She didn't know. So I think it's very important to have those things, but I also think it's important to have those conversations. So here is my question to you, my next one. How soon do you think it is okay to start having those conversations about finances? Like if you just date somebody, you just getting to know them, is it okay to have that conversation then? Or is it okay to have that conversation a little later on down the line? Like if it's somebody that you may be interested in moving forward in a serious type of relationship with?
As I've learned in helping people with like their credit repair and finances in general, it's a very intrusive subject, and people really don't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable. It's it's somewhat uncomfortable because you just never know. You never know, and I do believe it's important. Honestly, if you're dating someone, I think you'll start to see there'll be some telltale signs of how they manage money. Depending on how long you're dating, whatnot. Because it's interesting, that since we're talking about dating and finances, we've had these, I guess, arguments going back and forth with men and women about the first date and where you go.
That was my next thing. Keep going.
So if we're talking about finances and we're dating, and on the first date you're expecting me to take you to Ruth's Chris, or you're expecting me to take you to Flight, or things, something of that standard. And as the guy, I say, how about we go to Cheesecake Factory, since that was the big pushback.
Cheesecake Factory or Huey's,
right, and it was the big pushback, and it's like, it's not so much that I don't want to be able to find, wine and dine you, but we just getting to know each other, and so because it's interesting, a lot of times women don't want men to lead with their money and what they have, but at the same time, you kind of want us to lead with our money and what we have. And so it's a fine line, whereas men, and there are a lot of men who will lead with their money because they think that's the way to get your attention and everything. But if I'm leading with my money, I might not be that great at money and my finances.
You may not be that great at money, but you also may not get a genuine connection.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So money, finance, romance. I mean, it's nice to rhyme or whatever, but it's like, honestly, you do. They're gonna mesh in there somewhere. And I think when you really start to get serious, I don't know, months down the road, if honestly, for me, it don't take me months to realize the person I'm interested in is someone I want to be long term or
okay.
So
that's a great point.
Yeah. So for me, I'd say I normally, after like 3-4 dates, if you get to a third or fourth date, I'm probably like, okay, let's see where this is going for real, because because after my first 3 or 4 dates, I'm not even necessarily asking about finances just yet, but I'm asking questions about your background, who you are, how you see yourself, what things have you done. I'm not trying to necessarily know about your finances, but I think some of my questions are going to lead you to talk about your finances, whether you have a house or you're renting, you're saving up for this, you're going to say something that's going to help me. So I mean, for me, it's a little different, but I think if for the general, in general, I think once you really start to think it's serious, you want to have, because one, you need to make sure your finance is good, and you want to have somebody who finances are pretty good, because statistics show finances are that's what causes a lot of marriages to implode. So it's important.
Yes. So I think I don't think I really think, and without me really just telling my age like that, I really think that once you get to a certain point in life, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out if you want to be with somebody. I really don't think that at all.
True. I agree.
It shouldn't take a year or two to make a decision if this is a person you want to do life with. And I think people get comfortable. I really do think people just get comfortable, or maybe the people that they actually want to be with is not giving them the time of day. So because I have this person that's here, I have this person that's right here. Let me deal with this person, but not necessarily 100% genuine in that.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That because that speaks to another thing, and I think this is also creeps up in everything else that we do. That speaks to your limiting beliefs. So if I am so, like, I believe our society now, we're so result centric. We gotta have results. Like, I gotta be with somebody, or I gotta have this job. I gotta make this much money, right here, right now. That if you're doing that, it's gonna bleed into your relationships. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, just all your relationships. You're gonna see everything that's transactional. And we don't want to move into a transactional type of setting with anything, because then it has to become if it's going to be transactional, it needs to be a win-win situation. But a lot of times it becomes somebody got to lose, and that's one of the issues I have with dating, because it seems like I'm almost like, I like to define dating as I'm gathering enough information, or so much information, trying to figure out who's not going to hurt me the worst.
Oh God. And it's a scary place to be in. It's such a scary place to be in.
That's a scary place.
It's such a scary place to be in. So if you were to meet a woman and you ask her out on a date, and you ask her where she wants to go, or do you even do that? Because we just got through kind of talking about the Cheesecake Factory Huey situation.
Yeah.
Do you just say, hey, I'm taking you out on a date. Are you interested? And you pick the place, or do you allow her to pick the place?
I typically pick the place. I'm trying to think of all the time first dates. Yeah, I've always picked the place. And I've always picked a place that was, like, it just kind of depends. Like, for first dates, I believe all first dates should be ones in which you actually get to know one another. And and it doesn't always have to be centered around food, because I think too many times we always got to be, at a restaurant.
Now I'm playing.
What's that? So I want to, so it just depended on how I'm feeling. Like, okay, I want to do something fun, but I want to make sure we still eat, things of that nature. But typically I'll choose the place, and and I want to make sure it's a place that's going to be comfortable for us to talk, but also have a nice range of food choices, that I think would get the general, any typical woman would enjoy. So yeah, I've never been in a situation where I think I've asked the young lady where she wanted to go. I was just like, I already, I chose the spot. They normally say yes, so me.
Okay, so and with that, I'm trying to think of like first dates. Now I'm really a cool and laid back chick. Like, I like to go to nice restaurants. I love Fleming's. I like a good
good place.
Flight. I like the nice restaurants. I do. But I also think that when I am just dating somebody, I that's not something that I want to start or build that foundation on.
Yeah.
We can go to Huey's. We can go to Cheesecake Factory. We can go. As a matter of fact, let me say this. And I got a homeboy, and I gotta have him on, because he had the big debate about the $35 date. It was a big thing. Shout out to Mike Suggs, because we gonna have this conversation. But and we end up having like a whole panel about it and everything. And this was some years ago. But the idea is, we are getting to know one another.
Yes.
And so I'm not spending $100+ on you and we just met, right?
Right.
There is some spark of interest, but I shouldn't have to. So for me, I think a first date should be, if you're not lactose intolerant, going to get ice cream, or should
Ooh,
be like a coffee date.
ooh,
Everybody don't drink coffee. So I'm
ooh,
just, if,
you know they don't like that in the streets. You know, they don't like they ain't
they
like that.
don't like it and they probably gonna be mad at me. But my thing is, what are you looking for? Are you looking for finance or are you looking for romance? And of course, those things can correlate, because if you actually end up with your person and y'all have had those conversations, the tough ones, and the conversations about the finances and that sort of thing, then it shouldn't be a big deal to just sit down and talk to somebody, get to know them. And here's my thing: I do not want to waste I'm gonna be cute wherever I go, but I do not want to waste my fancy garbs, all right, on somebody who's gonna spend hundreds of top dollars on me, but they are a butthole. I don't want to do that.
Right, right,
Here's
right.
another thing that I also wholeheartedly believe in. Um, if I go out on a date and we do end up at a fancy restaurant or whatever, and they tell me, I make sure I have money to pay my own bill.
Gotcha.
If I don't like you, you ain't got to expect nothing at the end of the evening from me. I will pay for my drinks. I will pay for my food. I will take care of that, because I don't want that to be any type of attachment. I don't want you to feel like you were jaded or jilted. I don't
Yeah.
want you to feel like you didn't get nothing out of it. You pay for your food. I pay for my food. So those are the things for me. Those are rules that I've set for myself, because I'm not looking per se for the ballers, if that makes sense. I'm not saying I don't want anybody who doesn't have their finances in order and that sort of thing, but my whole goal is to actually get to know the person, to
Right.
see what they got going on in their head up there, and to see if we're gonna be a good fit. So I wouldn't be mad if a first date is coffee shop or ice cream shop. That's just me personally.
I mean, I feel that. I mean, but that, and also that's very mature of you, because I mean, yeah, I think, as you know, from a male perspective, a lot of times well, the way I was raised, I mean, my mom always used to be like, you should, take care of the date, especially if you ask, you inquire, you're the one who initiated, you want to take care of that.
Mhm.
So that's never been necessarily been a problem. But I've had her, I have friends, I have male friends and girlfriends who have said in the past, girls and ladies in particular have said, yeah, I've gone on a date with a dude I didn't like, and so there are guys who do feel jaded. And if I've gone to Fleming's, or I've gone to Ruth Chris, I've gone to something of that magnitude,
Caliber, yeah.
it's a dud. The relationship, we ain't, it was just terrible. I mean, most men are going to feel some type of way. Like,
They are.
yeah.
They
So,
are.
I mean, I get it. I appreciate your honesty, because I mean, yeah, it would be, I think for a lot of men, they would be like, okay, she ain't as bad. Like if it didn't go well, they were like, you know what? She cool folk though. I
I
appreciate it.
rock with it. Yeah.
Yeah, like you never know. You might need
Yeah.
some from later on, and you didn't burn a bridge. Other than like it didn't work out. So yeah, I think it's important that first date. If the place that we go to on the first date is that important, like the price wise, then we may be starting off on the wrong foot
On
anyway.
the wrong path. I agree. I agree. Now let me say this, because I do have a homegirl that was like, well, if she's used to this, but that man don't know what you used to.
Right.
So if we're just getting to know each other, a first date should be something that is, in my opinion, a first date caliber.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't have your Flemings. I'm not saying you can't have your flight. I'm not saying you cannot have those nice dining experiences, but I think that a lot of people are trying to get a free meal out of somebody who likes them, but they don't like. And I think
Yeah.
that's wrong.
Yeah.
I do personally. I think it's wrong.
Yeah, I too. I mean, I know times can be rough. You want to have a good time, and ooh, let me call up let me call up Jordan because he been wanting to get with me. So I like if that's the mindset, that's probably not the person I want to be with anyway.
Yeah.
So it's and so yeah, it I think it all does come out because one thing I have learned with doing financial literacy, doing helping people with credit, the truth does come out when
It
it comes
does.
to your money. You
It
can't
does.
hide it when it comes to your money. Like where your money goes is telling me where your heart is. Where your money goes, it's telling me what you enjoy, what you like doing. How much money you have. Like it does kind of show your tendencies, who you are, what type of person you are. So it is something to really consider when we come into this relationship talk because finances they're not going anywhere. And I think
No, they're
also
not.
because money is an unlimited, you know, entity that can always make more money. It's not something that we should harp on, but it's definitely something we should grow in. But what we don't have enough of is time. And so time is so valuable with an individual that you're wanting to
Mm-hmm.
get to know, things of that nature. So for
Right.
me, it's important that if we're going to do this, let's make the time make sense. Let's make the time enjoyable. That makes that time valuable. And I think, well, I know, then we can grow in how we do money. Because if we're having these conversations early, often, we're going to get better at it if we're
Yeah.
willing to do that. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
So let me give a scenario here for you. Because this has also been something that has come up and it's been to me, I think it's unfair, but I'm gonna put this out here so you can get it. So I saw this situation where this guy had taken this girl out on a date and she orders food for her kids back at the house. And she's expecting the guy to pay for the food. So and she was upset because he was like, I'm not paying for all of that. So I want your take on that. I want your take on that. And then I'm going to give mine.
I actually had I didn't have this
Situation
situation,
similar.
but somebody brought that to my attention a few years ago. It was a group of us. It was my business partners. We were just all just talking,
Mm-hmm.
and that scenario kind of came up, and I was like, I'm not responsible for your children. Like them, your children.
Your
You
children.
know, to and the thing is, it's not that a man wouldn't probably do it. It's the fact that you feel entitled
Ooh, entitled. Yes, entitled,
for
entitled,
it.
entitled.
Yeah,
Yes.
you feel entitled for it because there can be a time when it may be not the first date, but it's another date, and you couldn't you couldn't get a babysitter, but you really want to go on this date, and you had to bring the kid with you or whatnot. But we still having the date. Yeah, I might, ain't no big deal. Like, okay, cool. I got a little man, little lady, whatever, and and no problem.
Yeah.
But not don't we on the date and you order your meal and then you say, oh, I need this, and this to go, for my kids at home. Like that turned me off. I was like, nah, I was like, hey, check please right now. Uh,
Yeah.
two tickets.
Yeah. So for me, first of all, I would never do that. I've been a single mother for 20 plus years now. And I have never in my life done that. Now, I have had a guy offer, but my kids had food at the house. And one guy insisted, hey, here, just order something for them and just take it home. And I was like, I mean, he kept pushing it, so I said, okay. But if I was gonna order something to take home to my kids, I would pay that bill. And I have done that before. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, y'all, I'm at this restaurant we ain't never been to. Y'all want something? Yeah. Let me I want a place to go order or and let me pack it up. And I would take care of that bill
Right,
because that's my responsibility. I
right.
don't I think when people when you're dating and you have children, a lot of times people want a ready-made family. But if I'm just dating you and we're just getting to know each other, I'm not expecting you to step in and do certain things for my kids. And I think that that's disrespectful. And it's definitely not going to get you a man. Now, if that's something that you are used to and guys normally do that, I don't see men just like I said, I've only been in one situation where the guy was insisting on me ordering something for my kids. But other than that, that's never been to me. I don't think that that's cool. You cannot expect. And then she didn't just order like, and I don't know how many kids she had. She didn't just order like 1 or 2 plates of food. She ordered like 10 different entrees, if I'm not mistaken, and expected this man to pay for the whole thing. And I was like, sis, nah. Thank you, sir. Can you do me a favor? I'm sorry, we recording. You're gonna have to edit this out. Can you make me a little mimosa? It's some juice in the fridge. And then you could do it with the wine, or if we got the little bubbly stuff, the bubbly. And then put a little of one of those purees, one of those mixers in my in the glass too. If that if you get what I'm saying, like the peach or the yeah.
All right, a mimosa with some bubbles. Got it.
I'm sorry, that's my child. Okay, I'm going to edit that out. So yeah, so I think it's unfair to expect a man to take care of that type of responsibility and you are just dating. As you continue to move forward in a relationship later on down the line, now I've seen men who don't want the responsibility of the child at all. They don't want that responsibility, but they want to be with the woman. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think that's kind of crazy. I've always thought that if I'm a single parent, these my kids. If we're gonna be together and we're gonna live together or we're gonna get married, it can't be those are your kids, right? And of course, now for me, my kids are older, so I got a high schooler, I got a college student, so I don't expect a man to come in and be daddy to either one of them. You know, I don't expect that at all. Maybe a friend, maybe a mentor, something like that. That's what I would expect. But if we are merging lives together, and there are small kids involved, they might have a father. It may be a baby daddy in the picture somewhere lurking in the background. But also, my thought process is, how do you fit that in financially if you are going to be serious about someone who has children? And I guess this can go for male or female, because I see a lot of situations where females are like, well, I don't want to do that because, that's affecting this household or whatever that situation looks like.
Yeah, and I think it is a very fragile, topic, in that, guy sees girl, loves what he sees, but then finds out she has kids or one kid, or whatever the case may be. He has to put in his mind, like, okay, that comes with some bills there. Like, that's a little extra as a bonus. So it's like, yes, as a man, you do need to acknowledge the responsibility, prepare for their responsibility, and be willing to deal with it. And then on the flip side, with the woman, is like, if guy has, kids, it's like it's just different dynamics just from how we see it. Because I know as men, typically, the men I grew up with, when I grew around, I would say my mentors, they're willing to take care of everything. They're willing to make sure everything is in order and in line. And if I come into a relationship and with someone and they have a child, they have a dependent, 1, 2, whatever the case may be, I need to be willing not only to be, if I'm going to be dealing with her, I'm dealing with her children as well. And so I think you got to go into the relationship, again, going back to, like, I think our first question is like, okay, we talking about finances, and how much do you need to, how much in order you need to be? You need to really be in order if there's added dependence and everything. You got to really be in order, have your responsibility ready to go if that's the case. So so I mean, that's a conversation that can really, we can go down a whole rabbit hole with that.
Oh yes, we can. We can. In finances, with relationships, say you have merged your life with this person, um, and I think this works for, whomever it works for. It could be certain things work best for certain people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't always think that there is a right answer to this, but I've had um some conversations with some guys where their whole thing was they want to take care of everything and they don't want their wife to work. In those situations, if you had the finances to for your wife not to maybe clock into a 9 to 5, would you be okay with her having her own business? Would you be okay with her taking care of the house? Like what type of dynamic, in your opinion, would that kind of fit into, I guess, the goal of your relationship?
Okay. Good question, actually. And I think let's back up just a little bit. I think as individuals, male or female, we
Mm-hmm.
do know what it is we're looking for. We need to have
Mm-hmm.
a goal, a vision, a however we want things to be. So when we're running to individuals, we won't have to go through all the muck and miry to find out whether or not I'm supposed to be this person. This is because if you have certain goals and you don't want this or that, that should eliminate a lot in your pool because of what your goals are set for.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to that, full disclosure, I am one of those men who I don't want the woman in my life to be having a corporate job because I
Okay.
just don't believe the corporate world is conducive for most women.
Okay.
It can be it because it's so taxing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the day-to-day grind, the constant, how work environments can be. It can just be so toxic and
I know.
you may be doing a simple job, but it
Mm-hmm.
becomes such a taxing thing to go to work every day. So for me, I wouldn't want my wife to be
Mm-hmm.
in that type of situation every day, because if she comes home, if we're both coming home and we both over here like, oh my, just done with the whole world because of
Mm-hmm.
work, how are we really being able to pour into each other? And 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever would be how long you're working would
Yeah.
be just so much. And then on top of that, we got kids, and so we gotta take off the hat of being workers, and now we gotta be parents. And then after a couple hours with the kids, we need to take that hat off, and then we need to be loving on each other. And it's like before the day, we already ready to go into bed, and we like, I ain't got time for this. So I wouldn't want my wife, but I would love for her to have her own thing going.
Okay.
I'm big on, I think pretty much everybody needs to at least dabble into entrepreneurship, because you can
I
learn so
got
much
you.
from it. But
Yeah.
I would love for my wife to have whatever her passion is, whatever is something that she really has her dream set on, go for it. But I
Yeah.
don't want to have to do that under the cloud of having to have a job. And I think that's one of the reasons why our family systems have really taken such a hit, because we haven't been able to invest in self, because the majority of our day is working somebody else's job, working somebody else's business. And now I get home and I'm tired and I'm upset and I'm frustrated and I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to hear about that.
Right.
I just want to go down and go and sleep and lay down. And it's just that causes more issues. So yeah, I know that's, for a lot of people that's a perfect world, but it can be done. I know I know several people who grew up that way. Um, I didn't necessarily grow up. Both my parents had jobs or whatnot, but I even
My
saw,
mom and
even
dad
growing
did
up,
too.
even I
Yeah.
saw it growing up. It was taxing on my mother. Especially if it was one of those points where it was a recession and she wasn't working and dad was taking care of everything. It was still like taxing on her, because her mind is like, oh, I got to get a job because I want to help out when they do this. And it's
Yeah.
like, and but we're it just takes so much. And so yeah, I would, if I'm dating someone, well, dating one, if I'm with my wife, definitely, I would love her to have her own thing, but I would love to keep her away from corporate America as much as possible, unless she is working for me. You know, she can be my secretary, or you know, I give her a position as CFO or something, but
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a situation where she is working for someone else and the taxing environment of corporate America can be on our relationship.
Yeah. I got you. Okay. So, I kind of agree with that to an extent. There was a guy that I dated who was like, he didn't want me. If we were together, and he was making a certain amount of money, he wouldn't want me working at all. He would just want me at home taking care of the house. And I'm like, I got a whole college degree, sir. Absolutely not. I'm not sitting at that house all day eating bonbons and watching my stories. That is
No,
not.
no, no. I'm with. I don't want that. I want you to, hey, I want you to be purposeful.
That's not what it is over here.
No, I want you to be purposeful. I want you to be in your lane, whatever, and definitely if it makes money, keep doing it. You know, but I would never. Yeah, I would not just want you to be at the house. I mean, if we making money, I will. Okay, one of my mentors said, he's like, you need to be able to buy back your time, and so.
Oh, wow.
And so he challenged. He was like, "Okay, Jordan, this is the thing. If you, like, for instance, I can cut my own grass. I don't like cutting the grass. So if I'm making enough money, then I can pay so and so to cut the grass instead of me being out there 2 hours for landscaping. He's going to get it done. Now I got 2 hours I can spend with my loved one, my wife. All right, same thing." With you know, I'm making enough. Let me find ways to make more money so I can buy back time. So now, instead of her having to slave over a stove, we can have a chef who can go ahead and cook for us. Now that's another 2 hours that she ain't got to be trying to have a meal for the whole family. We're spending together. So I would say with any relationship that I will be in, I would want us to do things that help us buy back our time. So if that's a corporate job, but you're able to work 4 hours or however long, but I want us to buy back our time. So if you can do anything that's passionate, you're passionate about, they can help us buy back our time, do it. But other than that, I don't want neither one of us to work, but we gotta pay bills some kind of way, right?
Right. I got you. And I think it's important to have those conversations. I think early on, while you are in, I guess, a boyfriend girlfriend stage, or even during the dating stage, because I'm very much a person who doesn't like to waste time. When my time is wasted, I feel betrayed in a way. But it's, to me, I think it's a self-betrayal, because if you're not asking the right questions and you're not having the right conversations with the person that you're dating, then you are just as guilty as that wasted time as the other person is.
Facts.
I do get, like, people play games and people say things or tell you things that they think you want to hear so they can keep you on or lure you in. But certain conversations should be had early on so you could just do a process of elimination. That's just my thought process.
I agree.
So I'm gonna do this one. So do you think a person who wants entrepreneurship for their family versus a person who is just okay with working a job, do you think they could ever come together and have some type of agreement? Thank you,
sir. Definitely. So I'm big on that word you just used, agreement, but you know, even more specifically, unity. And what I mean by that is we have to have a common goal, a common end result, vision, however you want to categorize it. And in doing so, the means isn't always going to align. We're not always going to be like, okay, this is, exactly. But if it's moving us closer to our end goal, I'm with it. Because it's really the end goal that's important, not not, just, oh, did you do it this way? Or, it's, just like, I like use, sports as as a analogy. Is like when we're going for a championship, like every game is important, but we're not going to be able to play the game every time the same way. We're going to have to make adjustments along the way.
Yeah.
But at the end, we want to win every game. But it's going to be some games that we don't win, but we want to win more than we lose, because the end goal is still a championship. And we can't be losing here thinking that in the end we're gonna be a champion. Mm-hmm. So whatever we're doing now, it has to be effort towards this win, but even more importantly, the last win we need to have. So whether you're an entrepreneur you have an entrepreneur, you got a person who's working, like neither one is not better than the other. One is not worse than the other. I think they both can align. It's all about what your personality is, what you're ready to go for, because some people just aren't built for having their own business. And just, you know what I'm saying? Because I know it takes, you are really finding out so much about yourself when it goes into business. Yes. You're really putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. You are getting out of your comfort zone. You're dealing with your demons. You're up and down. As far as one day as the entrepreneur, you're like, oh, this is the best thing ever, and then another day you ain't getting no sales, and you're like, I hate this, and I wish I could just go back to what I was doing. Mm-hmm. So at the end, so for me, it has to be, are we agreed in this? Like the word says, how can two walk together unless they be agreed? So it's like, how can we get to a destination without us not already having the agreement of how we're going to get there? And if it means me working this and you doing that, that's what we're going to do. Now, don't get us wrong. You can always come back to the negotiation table and we can change up the terms. And change how it is. Yeah. Terms of agreement and say, hey, I see what you're doing. I want to get a little piece of that too. And let's do it from there. So I think, it's definitely doable. It's just all about the agreement. It's the conversation you're having. It's the, okay, what's the plan? Let's do it. So that's how I see it.
Well, I asked that question. I had an episode with one of my homegirls where she talked about her father and her mom getting a divorce and kind of how that affected her. And my mom and dad got a divorce when I was 8. And everybody knows that. Everybody who knows me knows that. And my mom was always the entrepreneur at heart. She didn't believe in working and building someone else's dream. That's always been my mom, right? I get that from her. In my own journey in life, I really get that from her. My dad at the time when they were together was okay with just working a job. And that was that. I'm going to retire and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Later on down the line, he got it, after they were no longer together, but he didn't get it when they were together. And so I know sometimes it doesn't always work if you are not on the same page. And if you don't know that early on, you could waste years of your life with somebody. Get where I'm coming from? Yep. And now keep in mind, they got kids out the deal. We're great. We're awesome. But you wasted so much time focused on this person or being in relationship or in covenant with a person who you were never on the same page with at all. Right?
Ooh, you're getting heavy now.
Yeah. So if you were not on the same page, and that's why I think it's very key. A lot of people stay in situations because the sex might be good, or oh, they real nice to me and they buy me this or they do this for me. But when we get down to the meat and the heart of things, if you are going through situations, you're going to continue to go through the same cycle over and over again, expecting different results if you don't have those real conversations about certain things and get on the same page. And You know, so if I'm an entrepreneur at heart, now I'm not saying now you could be good and bad at it. Everybody's not built for it, right? Everybody is not built for it. I'm a big person with time. I think my time should be very valued, very honored. I think I should have my time is very, very important. So I sold cars for about 4 years. I sold cars. And I had things that I had to like buck the system when I sold cars because my youngest son is really into sports.
Okay. Yeah.
Play football. He's been playing football since he was 5.
Right.
I'm leaving my job on lunch break to go watch a football game across town, and they calling me trying to see where I am. Hey, I'll be there. I'll be back in a minute. They allowed me to do that because I was the top salesman in the dealership.
Right.
You know,
right.
So they allowed some other things that somebody else who probably wasn't doing as well as I was could do, but that took a lot of time. It took away from my time where on Saturdays I could spend all day at the football field with my child. Now that has become my life. Now he's in you know, he's a high schooler now, so it's a certain night of the week that I'm just there, right? But those things for me being an entrepreneur is my time and being able to. Now I need the money to replace the money that I'm making over here at this 9 to 5. But my whole thing is if I can make that money and replace that income, I should be able to. The other part of that too is that when you get serious in a relationship, there should always be a goal of the family at the forefront.
Correct.
There you need to have a vision for what you want the family to do. And I see a lot of this with a lot of entrepreneurial families where they are coming together as a family and contributing to certain things, or there may be a husband or a wife. 9 times out of 10 now what I'm seeing with the influencers is the husband may still have a job or he may have his own business, but the female influencers that I see that are married, they are able to stay, you know, do the things that they love to do, whether it be travel, whether it be fashion, whatever that is, and be those influencers and make money from that and have that money coming in and those brand deals coming in while the husband does whatever he does. One lady who was a big influencer who was on Married to Medicine, I reality TV is my guilty pleasure. But on the show called Married to Medicine, her name is Anila. The ladies kind of clowned her a little bit, and I don't know why, because a lot of y'all, you know, who were married to the doctors didn't necessarily have a job. You know, y'all sat at the house too. But she was an influencer, and she has Amazon storefront. She, you know, her following was really, really big. Her husband's a doctor.
Yeah.
And he's like a I think he does the I think he's a cosmetic surgeon or something like that. So that man makes money. So she could be at the house doing those things. And I'm not saying that everybody has to have doctor money, right?
Right.
But if you have the money to allow your mate to do the things that they want to do. Now you might be cool with your job, and if you're a lawyer, a doctor, accountant, something like that, and you start your own, because you can start your own business and be an entrepreneur in those arenas. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had a law degree and my husband said, baby, I want to be a comedian, right? I would, hey, so what we need to do that's because that's the goal of the family. And I think that a lot of times we are so caught up in money wise or what it looks like to spend money on another person's dreams or hopes or goals and aspirations. I'm not saying that man need to quit his job right away, because comedy that's a tough field to go into.
Right.
But I am saying that people need to be realistic about the goals of the family. And they need to have those conversations very, very early on and get on the same page. Because if you ain't on the same page, that's the demise of your relationship. Like I said, my mom and dad got divorced when I was 8. It's a lot of people that getting divorces, and finances is one of the biggest things up there on the list as for the cause of divorce.
True. And I guess the piggyback of what you're saying is like, it's important to, like I said, have the vision. It's important, and I think we also need to remind ourselves that marriage really isn't for us. And when I say it's not for us, it's not for our necessarily for our happiness and enjoyment from the standpoint of it has to go our way. Because none of us come into the marriage or the relationship whole. We're all still working on certain things. So like even with your parents, he got to lay it down in the line, but that may have been the thing. Like he needed to get it later down on the line. It may have worked. It may have been, but we've had, like I said, it has to be the vision. Like, what are we going for? Because right now, like I said earlier, right now I might not get it, but I'm doing well in the area that I'm doing well in. You're doing well in the area you're doing well in. Is it helping us get closer to what our goal is? Because if we're still doing fairly well, I know you may need me to do this. You maybe want me to do this. I might want you to do this, do that, because we're all still working on certain things. If we can continue to persevere through certain areas, I think now marriage has become, it's supposed to be a place of happiness. It's a place of fulfillment and joy. And I think we miss the duty and the ministry of marriage. And that's why you see so many divorces happen, because we've lost what God truly intended marriage to be. And now we've made it our own definition, and it causes so much friction. Because I agree, we have to be on the same page. That's why from dating all the way on and through marriage, there has to be some type of vision. You need to know what it is that you're seeking, because again, you can eliminate certain people in the dating pool if they're not aligned to what it is you're already looking for. And then once you are married and it's like, okay, we got some things we need to work on, but we're already aligned on the basis, the foundational things, man. We'll work on everything else. Like if you're committed, I'm committed, and that's the goal. We can get there, but let's not get caught up on where we disagree on. Let's get on back on what we agree on, and we'll work through the disagreements. We'll work through what we're not seeing eye to eye on, because the end goal is most important. Like, we got to make sure all of this stuff comes together, but the end goal is going to be most important. So, all right, man, I totally agree. You do have to have that vision. You got to have the commitment to see the vision through, and that's kind of difficult, especially in this time where we're always so focused on results.
Yeah. So yeah, I totally, I can't harp on it enough, because I hear a lot of guys who aren't in a position to have that woman staying at the house, taking care of the household,
right?
Talking about what they want out of a mate, and I'm not blindly following you to hell. I'm not doing it. I just don't feel like I should have to put myself in a place of a disadvantage to follow you down the thresholds into hell. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. I'm of the mindset now, especially when I do a lot of some coaching in relationships and life. I recognize, and because I hear from women often, I don't mind, I don't mind, letting a man lead, but where he lead me to is always the question.
Absolutely.
I'm of the mindset now that any young man that I mentor or who coach, I tell them, like, I really don't want you to be involved with someone unless you already have your vision in place, because that's what they're looking for. They want to just know that you got something you're going for, and this is how you're going to do it, but at least present it to them. And that way you good, regardless of that person latching on or attaching themselves to your vision or not. It doesn't matter. It's your vision. Like, this is where you're going. If they align with it, cool. If they don't align with it, cool. Keep going. But I think that's what we kind of, as I say this a lot to my lady friends, I do believe as men, we've dropped the ball in our pursuit of excellence, our pursuit of being leaders, and we haven't shown the way for the young men that are coming up, and so the like we're too much in the culture of baby mamas and baby daddies, and what happens there is we making having children about us. We're making marriage about us when it really should be about the little people that we are now cultivating and growing. And it's important for those little people who become big people to see a balanced, healthy demonstration of men, a man and a woman working together and instilling different thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. So that's where I believe the fallout has come, and we do have that pocket of where men like, I want this, this, and this, but you're not providing this, this, and this, so it can happen. So yeah, and so and so vice versa. You have, and I know I'm talking extremes here. You get those women who feel entitled to have certain things, but they're not bringing certain things to them. So
they're not bringing things to the table.
Yeah. So there's a lot can be said about that, but this is a great conversation to have because finance, romance, they're going to intermingle, they're going to mix, and it's going to be something that you have to start talking about as quickly as possible, because if you're not on the same page, like you said, you're gonna split soon
or later, much later. And then it's like, where did my time go?
Where is it?
So I want to ask this because I think it's so important, and I think a lot of people shy away from this. I think that premarital counseling is something that should definitely happen. And a lot of people don't believe in it. And a lot of times, I was talking to one of my other friends who's a therapist. She said a lot of times you see men being dragged to therapy, right? By the woman, because the woman sees there's a problem that needs to be fixed, but the guy obviously doesn't see where that there's an issue, or they think everything is fine, or they may know that there is something wrong, but they're not willing to take the steps to fix it. Right. I'm gonna flip this around. In the financial world, do you think that a couple should have, and I might be giving you an idea, premarital financial coaching prior to getting married?
I would say most definitely, since the statistics show finances, sex, and communication are the issues when it comes to divorce, when it comes to in marriages. And if the counselor that you are, premarital counselor should be someone who brings that part up. And even if they're not someone who is, very astute in that field, the talk of money should come up. Finances should come up, and that should push or hopefully encourage the individuals, the couple, to go deeper into their financial way they do things, and even seek somebody who can help in that particularly.
Yeah.
I think it is important. I mean, because I would even say a sex therapist will help too. You know what I'm saying? Because again,
I'm trying to get my own girl. Look, I'm really trying. I got a friend who is a sex therapist, and I'm really trying to get her.
Yeah, she can premarital. So like I said, so if we're going to talk about the three main issues are sex, communication, and finances. So if I'm going to point at a financial coach, I'm going to also say you need to probably talk to a sex coach as well, because again, it's one of those things. All three of those things, sex, communication, and finances, are things that I believe we do take for granted because we are. It's just sex, or it's just money. It's just communication. We don't think that all of those are skills. Those are all things that we all can be very vulnerable about and don't want to talk about, and there could be traumas from those things. So to answer your question, yes, I think all three of them are important. And yes, finance, if you can have a coach, a therapist, premarital, all of that, yes, do it, because it's only going to enhance. And if you can have those difficult conversations, you're going to have an easier road as you go down life.
I agree. I really don't. I really think that it's a must. And I just thought about that because you do the financial coaching as well, and so I think it's important. There are a lot of people, in our community, especially the relationship with money is really crazy. I have a coworker that's much younger than me, and she was like, I just believe the root of money is the root of all evil, and I was like, okay. Uh, um, okay, sis, that's how you feel. I think it's important to dive into your relationship with money.
Yes.
Not only dive into their relationship with money, but also to not only dive into that, but also to really discover like what that relationship styles would be.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it may be a situation. I also think it's important to talk about stuff because, again, I see a lot of widows where the husband took care of everything or the wife took care of everything and they don't know what's going on.
Right.
I see that a lot in what I do every day. And so in my mind, I think that there should be conversations that are had so that couples, if something's missing and broken over here, I have an understanding of what's going on and I can take on the reins if my spouse is no longer here.
If need be. Yep.
And to have the foundation built from jump is a big thing for me. Build that foundation, number one. So I think, and I'm sure in premarital counseling they do it. I don't know how far they delve into it because I've never had premarital counseling, but I'm not exactly sure how far they delve into finances. I know finances is a conversation that is had.
Yes.
And I think that the counseling should be continuous. I think that couples should budget to have the counseling ongoing because there may be an issue that comes up that you guys can't solve together and you need a third party that is, I think, that is not that is unbiased in the situation. So a lot of times, of course, when you get married, if you ever been to a wedding, the pastor says, well, you guys are going to help them through this and y'all are going to do this and y'all are going to be the sounding board. Y'all.
Yep.
But I'm not a therapist. I ain't licensed. And every day I don't want your mess dumped on me personally. That's just me personally. Okay.
Right.
I don't want that 24/7 as your friend. As your friend, I might tell you some things that you might not want to hear. As your friend, we gonna keep having certain, or you might be mad. And I have some friends that'll listen to me, but I got some friends that's hard-headed. So I feel like you need an unbiased third party to say, hey, that's not the right way to handle it.
Right.
And have that unbiased third party. So don't necessarily, a lot of people use their pastor, but that might be my pastor and that might not be your pastor. So I think it's, the premarital counseling that you have to have prior to getting married is fine. But I think an unbiased third party that is not going to take sides in anything and is going to tell you the truth straight on, I think is best to have on board. So I think we should have those on retainer. I do. And the financial coach, the if y'all have a business together, a business coach, because y'all are learning things as you go in this entrepreneurial journey. You might have been an entrepreneur, that person is not. And a lot of times too, we discredit the people that we're closest to.
Yeah.
We won't listen to them, but somebody else outside can come say the same thing your mate said.
Right.
And then, oh, such and such said this. I was like, I told you that last week. So I just think that works better in my opinion. When I get to this point, these are the things that I plan on having in place for my own relationship. Because I want to stay. When I get married, I want to stay married. So
Gotcha. I agree.
Yeah. Well, Jordan, this was an excellent conversation. I'm gonna have you back.
This was a great conversation. I enjoyed it thoroughly because I don't think we have this conversation enough about finances and romance, and it's good to, like you said, I'm glad you have a platform where you're opening up this type of conversation because it is important. We didn't grow up talking about money. I mean, like in my family, it wasn't that we didn't talk about it. It was like it was grown folks' business. You know what I'm saying?
Stay in a child's place was the number one term that was used.
Right. So, you never really got the chance to really, delve into it, whatnot. But, it's definitely something that you do carry on when you become an adult. And of course, it's going to affect you in your relationship. So, so thanks again for having me on, because this is good. I would love to be on again, and we could delve even deeper into it, because, yeah, I think this is something that people need to really start thinking about as we move into relationships, because we don't want to continue to have this culture where we're kicking people to the curb just because they took you to
Huey's or the Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory.
Baby, the Cheesecake Factory is lit. I love the cheesecake. Now the food on at the Cheesecake Factory ain't always good, depending on who back there seasoning it.
Right,
but the cheesecake is fine. I would love to. If I could have cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory every day, I would.
Right.
Okay.
I'm big on it too. So yeah, but again, thank you. This is great. Yeah, this is a great conversation.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And you guys make sure y'all tune in. Jordan, how can they follow you?
Oh, so yeah, you can probably on all my YouTube, and I think TikTok, and also Instagram is That's Jordan Oliver. As simple as that. That's Jordan Oliver. And on Facebook, I am Jordan J.O. Oliver. You can find me there. And I got a lot of things and projects coming out soon, so just be on the lookout. They will be on all my platforms. And I mean, again, thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope you guys got something out of this, because it was a good conversation.
It was. And make sure y'all are following Cocktail Therapy over on YouTube and on Facebook. And I got to get the other platforms together. But make sure y'all are following us and listening to the episodes on anywhere that you listen to podcasts on your podcast platform. So make sure y'all are doing that, because we need those numbers up too. But thank you guys for joining us again, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Cocktail Therapy. Bye.
Bye.